Hey, lovely viewers, welcome back to Grey's Anatomy Official. Whether you've seen every episode 10 times or you're just catching up, I bet you didn't know there are 9 hidden episodes of this show that almost no one has seen. We're diving into those lost gems today. Plus, we have massive Season 22 updates, a tribute to a fan-favorite legend, and some very spicy real-life dating rumors that have the internet melting down. Trust me, you don't want to miss a second of this. Let's get into it. First up, let's talk about the lost history of Grey's. Because the show has been on air for so long, ABC actually released several special episodes and web series that many fans completely missed. Remember Joe the bartender? He actually narrated the first 3 specials like Straight to the Heart and Under Pressure back in Season 2. They weren't just recaps, they featured exclusive music videos, like the extended version of the phrase, How to Save a Life. And it wasn't just clips. We had full-blown web series like Seattle Grace, On Call and the Emmy-nominated B-Team, directed by Sarah Drew herself. Most of these aren't even on streaming anymore, making them true hidden gems in the Grey's legacy. Drop A. Now, let's move from the screen to the streets of LA. If you were a fan of Kai and Amelia's chemistry in Season 19, you might want to sit down for this. Co-stars Katerina Scorsone and Fightmaster have officially sparked major dating rumors. The pair were recently spotted holding hands during a lunch date in Los Angeles. Katerina was rocking a casual Away t-shirt, and they looked unmistakably close. It looks like that on-screen spark may have turned into a real-life romance. Are you shipping them in real life? Let us know in the comments. Moving back to the halls of Grey Sloan, Season 22 is absolutely destroying our emotions. We just saw Lucas devastated after missing Katie's final moments. Actor Nico Taro says Lucas is going to carry deep guilt for not being there, and we expect that to have lasting consequences for his character this season. But it wasn't all heartbreak, the show also took a moment to pay a beautiful tribute to the one and only Eric Dane. Even though Mark Sloan left us years ago, his impact is still felt in every corner of the hospital. It was a perfect reminder of why we fell in love with this show in the first place. So, what's next? Mark your calendars. Episode 15, titled Take Me to the River, is officially dropping on March 27, 2026, on Disney Plus and ABC. In this next episode, Bailey and Blue are facing some massive emotional costs over experimental care, while the rest of the team heads to a rural hospital to help out. We've got 18 episodes total this season, and with storylines involving Addison Montgomery's return and high-stakes surgeries, the drama is only getting started. It's a huge year for Grey's fans, both on and off the screen. Which part are you most excited for? The new episodes or the potential new couple? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this update, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and ring the bell so you never miss a Grey Sloan update. We'll see you in the next one. Your official Grey's Anatomy recap, Season 22, Episode 14. Emotions are running high at Grey Sloan Memorial this week. Okay, well, higher than usual. So high, in fact, that like everyone else at that hospital, we simply just do not have the time to take in Dr. Weber's attempt at a prostate cancer info session. The Danishes look good, the literature is well folded, and it's nice that he does at the very least reach the security guard with important, life-saving information, but otherwise, Richard, come on. People are dying. And crying. And making out in the street. We have so many other things to talk about. We knew it would come to this. Let's be real, we've known for a while that the Lucas and Katie storyline was going to end in some type of doomed love tragedy. We've known since they decided to go look at houseboats together because, as someone who has seen Sleepless in Seattle 300 times, I know houseboats are quite intimate. And it doesn't take long for Grey's Anatomy to finally, fully go for it. Katie is all set up at Simone's place, and Lucas, who hasn't been sleeping, is frantically trying to ease her pain. She has more and more fluid building up in her abdomen, which not only hurts but also obstructs her breathing. Bailey says he can only drain her every 4 hours, any faster than that can actually harm her, even if it seems like removing the fluid is helping at the moment. It's not long before Lucas asks Simone to get Katie's mom out of the house so he can help her get rid of a few things she doesn't want her mom to know about. Mostly, it's her journals, which she says hold her entire life in them, and she wants Lucas to burn them. If that's not the saddest thing you've ever heard, I don't know what is. Once Lucas and Katie are alone, it really doesn't take long for Katie to ask Lucas if they're ever actually going to talk about this tension between them because they are both feeling certain feelings, but neither will say it. Finally, for Lucas, the dam bursts. You want to hear that I have feelings for you right now? He asks, holding back tears. That if you weren't sick, we would be together? He swears he hasn't been trying to avoid talking to her about his feelings, he's simply been trying to hold it together. They know how this ends. So, instead of talking about that ending, Lucas holds Katie, and they talk about their beginning. The beginning they invent for themselves. Meeting at a library in high school while he was writing a paper on Toni Morrison's Beloved, he scores points with Katie for that. They invent a middle too. If things were different, right now they'd be in New York together, where Katie would have her own practice and Lucas would be doing his fellowship. They can't help smiling just thinking about this life they could have. But then, everything is ruined, and they are reminded it is just a fantasy because Katie is suddenly in incredible pain. She can't breathe. Lucas is going to drain the fluid, but he can't find any of the canisters he needs. This is when Katie's mom and Simone return from their walk. Simone hears what Lucas is saying but reminds him it is much too soon to drain the fluid. They need to give her more morphine. Pain meds don't prolong Katie's life, though. Lucas shoots back at Simone. She has to remind him, the goal is not to prolong her life, it's to keep her comfortable. She is dying. She is suffering. And then, Lucas figures it out. Simone hid the canisters to stop Lucas from doing anything rash. He is too close to Katie, he cannot think like a doctor right now. And you know what? Simone is dead on. Because instead of realizing Simone is right and that he should sit by Katie's side and be there for her, he runs out of the house. He decides to call Spencer, the doe-eyed intern who he knows would do anything he asks, and tells her to grab some supplies and bring them down to him where he's waiting outside the hospital. By the time he returns to the house, Simone is waiting for him outside to give him the news. While he was gone, Katie died. He runs in and sees her there, and he sobs at her side, where he should have been this whole time. That man is going to be feeling that guilt for a long time. Initially, he decides to take his guilt and grief and direct them at Simone, whom he tells flat out that he blames her for him not being with Katie in the end. Who knows what he'll do with those big emotions next? Something self-destructive, no doubt. Obviously, Bailey is also grappling with Katie's death. She spends the day focused on her work in the clinic, where she and Joe, she's only back for the day at the moment, meet Talia, a busy mother of 5 with pain in her abdomen. They discover some severe necrosis of her gallbladder going on, and they need to remove it immediately. Bailey finally feels useful after feeling the exact opposite when it comes to Katie. But then, they open her up, only to find hundreds of gallstones have spilled out into Talia's abdomen. They'll be able to suction many of them out, but not all. Talia will be dealing with pain and infections from the remaining gallstones for the rest of her life. That feeling of being useful? Gone instantly. Bailey is about to spin out from not being able to help yet another woman when Joe steps up, takes charge, and reminds everyone in that, or, especially Bailey, to take this one step at a time. One stone at a time, if you will. Unlike Lucas, Bailey is leaning on the people who care about her during this time of grief. She's also taking her anger out on the right people. Katie didn't have to die, the federal government cut the funding for her clinical trial. When Bailey gets the news that Katie is gone, she lets Ben hold her as she rails about how broken the system is. That, as with Talia's situation, there are so many injustices and so much that's wrong, most of the time it's hard to notice a new item to add to the list. Ben has the same advice as Joe, take a breath, because trying to fight every injustice, even just in the medical field, isn't sustainable. Bailey will have to find another way. World's best ass. Unlike some of the other couples on this show, one of whom we will get to, don't worry, Amelia and Tony Wright are moving fast. Those two are immediately hot and heavy, and you know what? I'm into it. These women seem like they're having a lot of fun together, but that doesn't mean things aren't serious. In fact, when Amelia learns that Wright's ex-wife is Celine Talbot, a renowned doctor who won a medallion for scientific achievement, which is the highest honor in all of medicine. Amelia freaks out. She doesn't want to lose Wright, but she also doesn't know how she can compete with Celine Talbot. And when Wright notices how much Amelia is worried about the Celine factor, it only annoys her. Her marriage ended because it was all about Celine. If this relationship is going to be all about Celine as well, that's not going to work for her. But Wright doesn't want to walk away. In fact, after spending the day working with Amelia, she's only more interested, and so she is the one to put an end to any worries Amelia might have. After seeing how much Amelia loves her work, even down to the nitty-gritty like closing up a patient, a job the chief of neurosurgery could possibly find beneath her, Wright calls Amelia in for her own little awards ceremony. She reminds Amelia of all she has accomplished in her career but points out how that act of closing her patient in the OR was way more impressive to Wright than any award could ever be. But just in case, she did make Amelia some awards. The first is for Best Person, Doctor and Lover, the second for Best Ass. The latter is obviously the most important award any human could ever win in all of history. Worth the risk. As longtime Grey's Anatomy fans are well aware, this show loves a good patient story that forces some introspection on our doctors, and that connection between patient and doctor storylines is impossible to miss here. I mean, the title of this episode is A Wrecking Ball, after all. And we've got literal and metaphorical ones swinging around. The patients are Dave and Casey, who are awakened one morning by a wrecking ball slamming through the bedroom. The construction crew had the wrong house. While you might think that would be their biggest problem, it turns out Casey is Dave's boss, Dave is married, and these two have been having an affair, which Dave's wife, Heather, discovers when she sees her husband on the news, and when Heather shows up at the ambulance bay to scream at her cheating husband, all of Seattle knows all of their business. Neither Dave nor Casey is in great shape. They had thousands of pounds of debris on top of them. Casey not only has a hand basically split in half, but also has a brain bleed, and Dave has numerous crush injuries. As Owen and Winston work on the couple, both men can't help but make this all about themselves. Owen winds up relating to Heather, the scorned wife. He finds her freaking out in the parking lot, smashing all of Dave's things and screaming that she matters too. Owen and Teddy have been having fun, sneaky post-divorce sex, and it's been great, but Owen learns that Teddy is dating other people. She is divorced, after all. You can see on Owen's face that the post-divorce sex means something different to him than it does to Teddy, and thanks to Heather, he realizes his feelings are valid. None of this is healthy, and he is going to get hurt in the end. When Teddy's date gets cancelled later and she asks if he wants to hang out, he turns her down. Winston has the complete opposite reaction to the Dave and Casey story. Things are incredibly awkward between him and Jules after her emotional confession and his rejected kiss. These two are so into each other, but both are scared to do anything about it. When they see what happens to Casey and Dave, it's no wonder. Jules, especially, is angry to watch Casey get attacked online, while the guy in the situation, the one who is married, by the way, gets very little of the vitriol. As Winston points out, Casey is the supervisor in this situation, and she is the one with the power here, which means she takes on the responsibility. These two dopes don't realize it, but they are basically arguing the same point, that if you take the risk, you take the consequences too. You just have to decide if the risk is worth it. They eventually admit that acting on their feelings would be a great risk to their careers. It turns out that Mohunty did come clean about the flap stitch and has taken a leave of absence. This is good news for Jules, but we missed this closure, and Winston notes that she is lucky it all worked out. He wouldn't want to jeopardize her reputation. They do a whole, if I wasn't the head of cardio, and you weren't a resident thing, but rather than it feeling like the rational decision to make here, it mostly just feels sad. They want to be together. One of them needs to be brave. When Winston watches Dave come to Casey's side and tell her he loves her and would do anything for her, that they could start over and be together, that what other people think about them doesn't matter, the man is moved. And so, Winston is going to be the brave one. He finds Jules outside the hospital and tells her how he could get fired and that he isn't one to break the rules, like, ever, but he can't shake the feeling that breaking the rules here, regardless of the consequences, would be worth it. It is worth the risk. And then, they make out there on the street, and we all breathe a deep, deep sigh of relief.